Says it all, doesn't it? Wow, did I get a lot of requests for this one. You guys really seem to hate this episode, and watching it again, I can definitely see why. Everything it does is wrong. Beyond wrong, actually. So, by popular request, let's tear Stuck in the Wringer a new one. Wow, we are off to an amazing start. You may remember our first writer, Zoo Service, and his other masterpiece, A Pal for Gary. And it looks like he's one of the creative geniuses who brought us one-course meal. I'm super excited already! But that's not the only veteran who helped make this beauty. Hot off his work creating the Splinter, we have Sean Chermatz. And then there's Derek Iverson, who created the creepiest fuck Squids visit, and would eventually go on to help pen Demolition Doofus. It looks like we got ourselves a dream team here. It starts with SpongeBob taking a shower until he over-dramatically drops the soap, because the writers think that that's funny. Ha ha ha, nothing of substance happened. Then SpongeBob cleans his brain because the writers don't know jack shit about comedy. When the shower's done, SpongeBob cleans himself off with a laundry wringer.
What would I do without you, Wringer?
Use towels, perhaps? Maybe drip dry in the fucking ocean? SpongeBob gets dressed and is prepared to go to work, but slips on soap and bounces into his tub to pad out the episode's length. He steps on a rubber duck, which startles him to step on another bar of soap, which gets him stuck in the wringer. He tries to use his tongue to get himself out, but ends up breaking the handle. Hey, this kind of reminds me of real-life situations when people can't get their hands or other extremities out of nooks or machinery. They spend days calling for help that never comes, eventually forced to cut off that extremity in pure desperation. And these hacks think that a scenario like that can be used for comedy. Patrick comes in looking for his rubber duck. Okay, what season is this episode? Ah, I see. Yeah, by this point, Patrick had an IQ of -75. When SpongeBob asks for help, Patrick uses Forever Glue to help SpongeBob be stuck forever. Yes, Patrick really has become that stupid. Speaking of that, you know what I find interesting? In these SpongeBob torture porns, he's actually really close to his original personality. In this episode, especially. So the glue hardens because the writers think that crippling someone is funny. Of course, SpongeBob's only concern is getting to work, which yes, is very similar to his original characterization. Patrick does manage to help slightly by breaking the wringer off the floor, so SpongeBob gets to work and starts making Krabby Patties. And when Squidward sees the wringer, he of course laughs at SpongeBob's misery. And then this happens. Alright, dumbasses. Or should I say dumbass. I think it's safe to assume that the one writer from the Splinter wrote this fascinating piece of the episode. From what I can gather, Sean Charms is like Dave Polsky if he was terrible at slapstick and really, really hated people. An important rule of slapstick is to never, ever harm the eyes, fingernails, or toenails on camera. You've also got to be very careful with teeth. Those are extremely sensitive parts of our bodies, eyes especially, and pain towards them will automatically make us cringe. It is possible to do eye-related slapstick, like say someone is trying to open a switchblade and looking really closely at it. If you want it to be funny, when the blade goes off, you've got to move the camera somewhere else as that guy screams.
Are you okay?
From Derek Iverson, who seems to have some bizarre psychological horror fetish. When someone asks for a refill, SpongeBob jumps up and causes the cash register to fall on his foot. Once again, the pain is raised to cringe-inducing levels. Then we have shenanigans that eventually ends with the cash register emptying on the floor. This, of course, gets Mr. Krabs to come into the picture.
Help! I think you've helped quite enough today.
Remember that line. SpongeBob gets kicked out of the Krusty Krab and bumps into the cause of all of his pain. Patrick tries to cheer SpongeBob up instead of, I don't know, taking him to a hospital. They go to an ice cream parlor where SpongeBob is unable to eat his ice cream because the wringer is apparently stuck on his esophagus. Wow. That's just great. They're implying that SpongeBob is eventually going to starve to death because of that thing. Because, you know, if you can't swallow something like ice cream, that tube is closed. Tightly. Oh, and would you look at that? Patrick eats SpongeBob's ice cream like a good friend. Next, they go to the carnival, where we're treated to some scenes where SpongeBob can't play any of the games or ride on any of the rides. He even gets a shiner in the process. Hey, writers, I don't care who the hell you're doing this to. Torturing a character is not funny. Speaking of torture, sometime later, Patrick comes around with some cotton candy for winning a dart tournament. Wow, you sent your friend flying, but instead of looking to see if he's okay, you go and play darts. Some goddamn friend you are! Finally, SpongeBob has had enough, and he knocks the cotton candy to the ground.
Maybe now you know how I feel about you ruining my life!
Well said. So, SpongeBob finally tells Patrick off.
Help! I think you've helped quite enough today!
Hey, it's exactly like that other scene. Of course, the townspeople angrily shout at SpongeBob despite running excitedly towards their fight. Yeah, I suppose it's okay to yell at someone for some minor accidental vandalism, but it's not okay to yell at someone for ruining your life due to their incomprehensible stupidity.
You deserve what you've gotten. Come on, we're out of here.
Not Screw you. Screw you all. I knew Zeus' service would shine through eventually. In fact, I think he was in charge of the rest of the episode. Patrick tries to stay mad at SpongeBob, but is unable to. He runs to SpongeBob's house, breaks in, and finds something that wouldn't be out of place in a horror story. I guess Derek ain't done yet.
What's that? I can't hear you, what with all the lonely voices in my head.
Torture Squidward, torture Squidward, torture Squidward, torture Squidward, torture Squidward, torture Squidward.
Oh, I love that part.
And now he comes to the most infamous part of the episode. Patrick cries, and that starts to melt the glue. Okay, before we move on, tears are essentially salt water. They live in the ocean. Do you dumbasses see the fucking problem?
I guess crying does solve your problems after all.
Isn't it great that they're trying to teach kids such valuable lessons in life? Alright, you three. What's the word I'm looking for? Dipshits? No, that word is too good for you. Assholes? That's not quite right either. Fuckers? No. I'm just gonna call you three excuses for humanity until I can find a description that properly suits your crude, idiotic, and juvenile talentless asses. What reality do you three live in? I really want to know. I'm genuinely curious. In this reality, it's conventional wisdom that it actually takes an adult to write for children. What am I saying? That's not fair. Children would make better writers than you three. Hell, infants would. My dog would. You mindless, degenerate hacks. You three may want to thank your lucky stars every second of every day that whatever the fuck you sold your souls to was stupid enough to give you your jobs. Because if you lose your jobs writing this trite shit, you will most likely never work again. Not just in television, but in any job. I don't know anyone who would lower themselves so substantially to even reluctantly want your demented, poisoned minds around. Just leave us all alone and go back to the fucking sledge you came from.